Hello and welcome to the Soar Mill Cove channel. We are live and we thought what better way than to engage with our followers than to showcase what Soar Mill does best. And that's of course that delicious food that's freshly prepared here in the Soar Mill Cove kitchen. Good news is I'm not cooking and I have the pleasure of introducing our head chef Ian. Hi Ian.
Hello Matthew.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name's Ian MacDonald. I'm the head chef at Soar Mill Cove. Been here for several years. Started many years ago as a young commie chef and worked my way through the kitchen. I'm originally from North Wales and learnt my cooking there.
And what is it about the Soar Mill Cove kitchen that you love so much? Is it those lovely fresh ingredients you get to use?
Well, that's one of the big draws, yeah, but also, you know, it's such a nice place to work, nice people and nice family to work for as well. But yeah, the fresh local ingredients, the local products is what we're all about. You know, the crab that comes from the Fish Quay in Salcombe or from the markets of Brixham or Plymouth, the beef that we use here within a 10-mile radius of the hotel, and the vegetables in the summer come from South Milton, you know, the nice rainbow chards and tomatoes and things like that. So it's all nice, local, fresh.
And I suppose that's what the guests taste on their plates, those lovely fresh ingredients that's prepared by yourself and your team. But today, of course, we're dealing with these beautiful crabs. Personally, I've never touched one before. I wouldn't know where to start. So you must have had that job of killing them a little early today?
Yeah, they arrived early this morning. This is a brown crab. They're caught all off the south coast, especially in the southwest in Devon and Cornwall. This one's just over the kilo. It's a male crab. They were probably caught yesterday or last night. They came into us live today, and the job of killing them's already been done, so we don't have to worry about that. But you know, it's what we do is we keep them in the freezer, keep them there for about an hour, just puts them into a little bit of hibernation, and the process of killing them is very simple, although not pleasant. There's a little apron here, and you pull that back, there's a little hole, and then something that's sharp like an ice pick or maybe a screwdriver, in it goes, wiggle about, turn it back over. Into the sink's the best bet, and all the liquid and juices will drain out of it, and then ready to cook. So what we generally do, this, as I say, it's just over the kilo mark. They can grow as big as 3 kilos. We're quite lucky. The crabs on the sort of southeast, more spider crabs, a little bit sweeter flesh, but you get more meat out of these big ones. Put a big pan on to boil, heavily seasoned. It almost needs to be as if it is actually seawater. Then the seasoning penetrates right the way through to the flavour of the actual crab.
So what I would see as one of the biggest challenges is the decrabbing of the crab. So obviously everyone at home today might not necessarily have a whole crab, but how would you go about doing that?
Well, it's fairly simple. I mean, you can go to, if you're lucky enough to have a good fishmonger on the street or one that you go to fairly locally, they can get them for you. If you're lucky, they'll kill them and cook them for you as well. But generally, what you can do is buy them pre-prepared or pre-picked in plastic tubs. They'll come in about a half kilo tub of white or brown, and it's just as easy to do that. But for today's purposes, we're gonna crack this crab and show you how it's done.
Yeah, please do. So whilst Ian demonstrates how to go about decrabbing today's crab, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Soar Mill Cove Alfresco experience, which has just opened. We've obviously steadily started to have some of our guests return to Soar Mill Cove. We've got a lovely new decking outside to welcome our daytime visitors, all sheltered should the weather turn. So we're open at the moment, Wednesday through till Sunday, 11 AM to 4 PM. So you can come down and enjoy a delicious crab sandwich prepared by our head chef here with a nice glass of wine. Certainly starts the day off right. Ian, how are you getting on there?
Right, well the easy bit, or the easier bit, is getting the meat from the claws. So, big sharp knife or heavy back knife, and then we just pull it apart, and it reveals the flesh there. Just get a little bowl, and we've got a special crab picking tool as well, which helps us get all the crab from the claw, and we get as much as we can out in one go. This one's being a bit stubborn.
It looks a little fiddly.
It can be. So it's, the easy bits comes from the claw and from the legs, and then all goes into the tub.
Quite time consuming?
About 20 minutes, you know, a fairly competent person can do it in about 20 minutes. It's not the difficult job, it's just time consuming. Inside here is the laborious bit. Let me just get into it. And there's a few bits you need to remove, and these are the gills of the crab. They're called dead man's fingers, but they won't kill you. It's just fairly inedible, really.
So they're the bits you don't want in
You
your
don't
crab
want them,
ingredient.
no, absolutely not, no. So you just pull them away. Now this is the fiddly bit. It's a bit more tricky, really. There's lots of cavities within the crab. Also lots of little bone or sinew and cartilage, I think the word is. So that all comes out. You've got to be quite careful because it's paper thin, but you can't eat it and you will crunch into it. And it can put you off a little bit. This is why we take as much time as we can, and this is the time consuming bit.
And how about getting hold of the crab, Ian? Do you find it's more seasonal or weather related?
There isn't really a crab season in the southwest. They're more abundant from early spring through to the end of autumn. I think they go through a little sort of dormant phase in the winter where they don't really feed, so they're not really caught that much. But mainly the issue is the weather. You know, as glorious as the weather can be here, it can be equally as fierce, and you can understand the fishermen not wanting to go out in a force 9 gale, which happens from time to time.
Yeah.
We were quite lucky to get these because of the easterly winds that we've had over the last...
They're quite choppy.
Yeah, choppy seas, and I'm sure everybody will have felt the easterly breeze blowing right through them. So, yeah, it's not been easy, but we did manage to get these fresh in today.
Is that the same for lobster, the difficulty?
Lobster's a little bit even more difficult to catch in the winter than crab. Lobster's much more readily available throughout the spring and summer months, through to the end of autumn again, but very scarce in the winter and very expensive in the winter as well.
Yeah.
Whereas crab sort of keeps and maintains a fairly reasonable price. The problem with crab is how much work you've got to do to it, hence why it's so expensive. It's basically the manual labour involved.
And obviously the crab linguine is one of our most popular dishes.
Yes, it is, yeah. So we'll just put this to the side. For today's purposes, we've got some crab already picked there.
So obviously Ian's just been picking the crab. At home, I like to think that you've got some of the ingredients or all of the ingredients ready for today's cook along, but no panic if not. We are going to save this on our Soar Mill Cove Facebook page. We're also going to put it on our website, so you can cook along at a later date with a nice glass of wine in hand. Here we go. Is this your pre-cooked?
That's the crab we took out from the shell this morning.
You. Lovely.
So what we'll do is we'll just get rid of this chopping board here. It's got the crab on it.
We've got plenty of crab there, Ian. Is that enough for...
That's enough for 4 people
Four
there.
people.
Yeah.
Today's recipe for 4 people?
I'm going to do it for it'll just be for 2 today, just to but the actual ingredient list that was online is it plenty enough for 4.
Excellent.
So we're just going to skin some tomatoes, and all we're doing here is scoring the skins of the tomatoes. We're not cutting into them, and we're just going to plop them into the boiling water here for about 10 or 15 seconds.
And typically in this crab, does it have a sort of shelf life once you've picked it?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't like to have it hanging around for any more than 3 days, 4 at the most, but refrigerated all of that time.
Yeah.
As with all shellfish, you've got to be careful.
Yeah.
Make sure it's thoroughly cooked and, definitely refrigerated. So,
Well, tell me a bit more. You've got some few other ingredients here.
Some spring onions. We'll chop them up. Put them into our bowl here.
And you're simply blanching those tomatoes?
All they're doing is getting a quick blanch to remove the skins. I've got some ice water here to put them into. We'll leave them in that water for a second. While we do that, we'll
So whilst Ian's chopping there, I can obviously tell you a little bit about the Soar Mill Cove and our reopening. We have the pleasure of fully reopening on the 17th of May. We can't wait to have people back through our door. It really just doesn't feel the same without you. We're generally very, very busy for reopening. We still have the odd gap between now and the end of August. A lot more availability, thankfully, from the autumn. So if you want to come down and see the best sunsets in September, October, please give me on the reception a call. We'll be very, very happy to get you booked in. Otherwise, Ian, we serve breakfast, lunch and dinner daily, of course. So again, please book in advance. It's certainly recommended, and we'd be very happy to look after you. And you can come and enjoy a nice crab linguine outside on our deck. How are you getting on there, Ian?
Yeah, just the tomatoes to do.
Excellent.
And while I'm chopping these, I'll put a pan on to get nice and hot.
So this is going to be mixed in with your lovely linguine and your crab. Excellent. I suppose what we must also ask you all to do is get involved by taking a picture of yourself cooking, uploading it onto social media and putting a hashtag there, Cook Along at the Cove, because we really want to engage with everyone today who's following along. There we are. What are you going to pop in the pan there, Ian?
Just a bit of extra virgin olive oil. And the beauty and simplicity of this dish is everything, because it doesn't take long to do, especially if you've got the crab that you've bought from the supermarket into a nice hot pan.
So it's almost just, what, quarter of an hour from start to finish?
Yeah, absolutely. If that, you know, as long as you've got everything to hand, it doesn't take long at all.
So do you cook outside of work much, Ian, at home?
I
or
do
you
most
like
of
to
the
have a
cooking. No, I do most of the cooking at home, to be fair.
Yeah.
It's a bit more relaxed, it's a bit more enjoyable. I can open a bottle of wine and put some music on and cook away. Normally there's just 4 of us, now that my eldest daughter's in university.
So quite the difference from a typical summer's day here in the kitchen.
Absolutely, yeah. There's not 80 covers to cook for, which you know, we can get upwards of that in the summer. So the crab's gone in there as well.
Oh, it smells delicious. It really, really does.
So we're just going to cook this through, sweat it all down before we add our linguine. I've pre-cooked some linguine. You could use any pasta you wanted. You could use some tagliatelle or even spaghetti. It doesn't really matter. But we tend to use just the linguine here.
Lovely. And you could use any types of fish in here, Ian, lobster or...
Yeah, we've done lobster in the past. It's good with prawns, if you like. With prawns, which are a little bit more economical, I suppose. But yeah. It's very versatile. It doesn't even have to be seafood. It could be, a little bit of chicken or anything, really.
Excellent. It really does smell great.
Nearly there, Matthew. If you'd like to pour yourself a glass of wine.
I will pour myself a glass, most definitely. There we go. Yourself, Ian?
Yes, please.
I'm looking forward to this.
And it won't take long to warm that linguine through. Literally 3 or 4 minutes in the pan.
So please remember to add your photos to the social media with the Cook Along Live hashtag. Send us any questions on the comment feed below or via email. We certainly reply to everyone. And come along to Soar Mill Cove. Come and enjoy delicious crab linguine. We can't wait to see you back. We've missed you all, and the Soar Mill Cove just isn't the same without you. That looks great, Ian. I'm really going to enjoy that. There we go.
There you go. Enjoy that one. Yeah, thank you very much.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers all, and thank you very much for joining us at our Soar Mill Cove Cook Along.